Charlemagne's rule ended and it went to his son, and the whole of Charlemagne's empire started to break up, Switzerland was independence. Its neutrality was documented throughout Europe so that they knew the country was neutral, and it has been the same way ever since. So a very different kind of place. Industrially speaking, they make their money out of finance. They do have a few industries, floating around here and there, particularly their watches, Rolexes, Tag, they're all Swiss. Their cuckoo clocks, all that kind of thing, precision engineering, they're very much into it. But finance is where they make their big biggies. They invented life insurance, the Swiss. They were the first people to draw up a mortality table and start insuring other people's lives. When the European Union becomes like a megalomaniac or, has a particularly large group following. So it keeps it very much an elected kind of ruler. As a result, any law that goes through, the house, they will dig out their cliffs and they will use them as storage facilities for their militia. And you can fly a plane into this mountain, and you will every now and then see a jet fighter fly out. It's sort of like got the mountain inside and it's built a runway around one side, and what they do is they roll down the inside of the mountain at very low speed in comparison, in a fighter jet, so probably pretty fast for most of us. And then they hoon out of this runway and they take off. Their airfields or their air bases around here, you'll notice them, but they have camouflage grass over the top of them and camouflage you. And the whole idea is it would be difficult for someone to penetrate this country. And some people call it the joke of Europe, this tiny little nation that's so neutral has got this amazingly strong army, and they think it's really quite odd. But it is part of the Swiss characteristic. They are very nationalistic and they are very proud of their nation, and they are very strong about their independence, and they really do not want the European Union. That's why you saw border guards at that border. Okay, because it still is technically a very much enforced border. They do have quite a few foreigners here though. Something like 9% of the people that live here are residents but not actually born in Switzerland, and they come here for work opportunities because of the amazing lifestyle. When you see it, you'll think it's a very easy place to live. It's clean, it's organised, everything runs smoothly. It's an amazing contrast to the chaos of Italy. Completely different kind of mentality. So yeah, you should really enjoy it, hey? It's fantastic. The Swiss franc has approximately 2.4 Swiss francs to a pound. 2.4 Swiss francs to a pound, about 1.6 Swiss francs to a US dollar, and about 78 rappen or 78 centimes, depending on what part of the country you're in. In the French-speaking part, they're centimes, and the German-speaking part, they're rappen. So where we're going tonight, they're rappen, they're cents. 78 rappen to an Australian dollar. So it's almost 1 for 1.
So they're wrapping their
New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, tonight you have an included dinner, and tomorrow we leave Switzerland before we stop. So we don't have any service stops in Switzerland tomorrow, and we have an included dinner tonight. If you want to buy a Swiss watch or a Swiss Army knife, you can pay with credit card, any sort of currency, American currency, European currency, traveller's checks, any of those. So you don't necessarily need to cash up to buy any of those goods. If you just want to buy a few little postcards, a couple of chocolates, because the Swiss chocolate, my lordy, a couple of chocolates, that sort of thing, maybe a little teddy bear with a bell on it. Yeah, those are quite cute little hats. You will need Swiss francs for that. And also for drinks. Drinks in Lucerne are expensive. Lucern's a huge university town, and it's one of the youngest towns in Switzerland. It's quite a happening place. It's got a very nice old medieval feel about it. So if you do want to go out, beers are looking at about 8 francs, so that's about £4, £3 to £4, say, for a drink. In a sort of trendy kind of pub, yeah, or a nightclub. So you just sort of have to work out how, so you could effectively get through your whole time in Switzerland with just what's in your currency pack very easily. Yep. We're nearly at our services, which means you get to go and try some Swiss food. Now the fondue is great. If you want to have fondue in Switzerland tonight, well, in Lucerne tonight, when you look at the menus, it's per person the price, it's not per pot. So it doesn't matter whether you have 20 people sitting around the one pot, you all pay the same price. They just make the pot bigger. Yeah, you guys get what I mean? But they eat very Germanic food. They invented... Yes, they do. I've got to remind me, I've got to tell you a William Tell joke later, okay? But they eat lots of sausage and potato, and again they have sauerkraut, they have rosti, which is absolutely beautiful, the sliced up potato with all the different things in it, almost like a bubble and squeak with cheese melted all over the top, and they love their cheese. Now it's really good, hearty, get into it, skiing kind of food. Lots of strudel, apple strudel, peach strudel, all sorts of strudel. You can eat strudel till it comes out your ears. Beautiful stuff, but very, very hearty. And the sausages are absolutely fantastic. And again, they do like pork an awful lot. And schnitzel and spatzel, the big noodles that come with schnitzel. Beautiful soups, absolutely lovely soupens, great big thick hundreds when they were fighting for their independence. And he was like a Robin Hood character, so to speak. And he was the guy that shot the apple off his son's head. You know, the legendary, the guy was standing in the apple. He's one of the best marksmen the world has ever seen, ever. And he's wandering around the Swiss Alps one day, and he's out and this huge blizzard just comes shooting through, and he's freezing cold, and he sees a farmer's house, and he knocks on the door. And this beautiful woman opens the door. She was very attractive. And she's just there with her mother, and she says, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "I'm sorry, I'm William Tell." She goes, "I know who you are, Mr. Tell, you know. Can I please come in and have shelter for the night?" "Well, I'm a bit concerned because my husband's away." He went, "No, don't worry, there'll be none of that kind of business, don't worry at all. Please, please, please let me stay." So of course, how can she refuse a national hero? She invites him in, she makes him a big pot of fondue, and he secretly drops his piece of crouton into the fondue. So he has to kiss her. Well, a few schnapps, a couple of nice Eiger beers, which is the local beer of Lusern, you want to try Bragwood, and one thing leads to the other. And he leaves, gets up the next morning and he walks out the door. Along comes the farmer, and the farmer says to his wife, "You've been unfaithful to me, haven't you?" I know you have." And eventually she broke down in tears and she confessed what had happened. And she was devastated because she didn't mean to hurt her husband. And he went running off after the fields, and he's screaming out, looking for William Tell, William Tell, William Tell. And he eventually comes across him, and he grabs him by the scruff of his neck, and he throws him on the ground, and he says, "William Tell, did you sleep with my wife?" And William Tell goes, "And your lady too." You didn't like that joke? No, okay.
You call yourself a professional.
That was the other thing I wanted to mention to you about Switzerland. Oh, you can see some Alps there now. They're starting to pop up all over the place. Was the St. Bernard dogs. Yep, the wonderful puppies, those beautiful great big dogs. They were traditionally kept by a monastery, and that's why they've got the name St. Bernard, and they were used, and they still are used today in some places, for rescue missions, for skiing. The Swiss have one of the best rescue services in the entire world, and as I'm sure you're aware, they often suffer from avalanches in this country, so they do need it, and they train pretty much consistently. The Swiss rescue service that runs outside of Lusern, you can hear the helicopter go over on a daily basis. They train very hard, have your tickets, and you can go up, and we'll come back and pick you up a bit later this afternoon. At best you'll get 20 minutes to half an hour up there, at worst 15 minutes on the top. But having said all of that, if you don't have clouds very far down the mountain, like if you get the drift, if it's only up on the peaks, the cable car ride up is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so if there's anyone that really wants to go, that's got 46 Swiss francs on them, I'll send around a list. Can you please just jot your name down, and what we'll do is we'll drop you over at the cable car first, pop you on the cable car, send you up. The others will go check into the hotel. We'll do a bit of a walking tour. We'll go and see the watch and the Swiss Army knife shop, all that sort of stuff. If you go to the top of the mountain, you won't have time in Lucerne during the daytime while the shops are open. Okay, but you will be able to, because we're staying right in the centre of Lucerne, you will be able to come out after dinner. We're having dinner at 6:15, wander around, and you'll get the atmosphere of the place and see it, and it's beautiful. Is that giving everyone something to think about? Yeah, do you want me to send around a list now? Yep. It's 46 Swiss francs. So you just have to decide, bear in mind that the weather can change incredibly. So we might get there and it could be far worse.
And also need to catch up on this.
This is just a normal driving. So how long did you work on? It doesn't look like you. I'm like,
Yo.